On va continuer avec les notes de chapitre 3, géoculture. So, continuing with chapter 3, geoculture notes. Alors, architecture. L'escalier casse-cou. Les escaliers qui relient la Haute-Ville et la Basse-Ville sont une des caractéristiques architecturales du Québec. La maison Jacquet, elle, est la plus ancienne maison de la Haute-Ville. Elle a conservé son apparence du XVIIe siècle avec son toit mansardé et ses fenêtres à petits carreaux. Le musée de la civilisation. Il incorpore des bâtiments historiques dans un ensemble moderne pour symboliser le lien entre le passé et le présent. Ok. L'escalier casse-cou. So these stairs link the Haute-Ville and the Basse-Ville, and they're architecturally characteristic of Quebec. So basically, l'escalier casse-cou, they're stairs that link the Haute-Ville and the Basse-Ville. That's what you really need to know. And the name of the stairs is the breakneck stairs. I don't necessarily think they're called that because you'll actually break your neck on the stairs, but I mean, you could, especially in the winter if they get icy. But I think they're named that because you have to crane your neck back to look up them because they're steep. So, l'escalier casse-cou, they link the Haute-Ville and the Basse-Ville. La Maison Jacquet, which is here. It's the oldest house in the Haute-Ville. Not in just Quebec, but it's the oldest house in the Haute-Ville. That's an important distinction. It's the oldest house in the Haute-Ville. It's kept its 17th century appearance with its mansard roof. Mansard just means like, see how it's very steep and it has these windows that stick out, these dormer windows, which also have little roofs over them. So this is like a 17th century style. And it's kept its 17th century appearance with this mansard roof, and it's windows that have small panes or small square windows. So the mansard roof is important, especially in Quebec, because, well, what happens when you get a whole lot of snow on top of a flat roof? It gets really heavy and it can cave the roof in. So if you have a steep roof, it means that the snow can just slide right off. So that's why they have the mansard roof, and why it's characteristic of Quebec, because they get so much snow. Okay, the next one, le Musée de la Civilisation, so the Civilization Museum. It incorporates historic buildings in a modern arrangement to symbolize the link between the past and the present. So, le Musée de la Civilisation symbolizes the link between the past and the present. Le Musée de la Civilisation. It's a 20,000 square meter contemporary building, which is in the heart of Quebec City's historical district. It's made of local materials, so its roof, dormer windows, and steeples are made from materials from the nearby houses and churches. I need to fix that. The building's network of stairways and terraces allow visitors in the summertime to discover the city's landscape. Along with its modern exhibition spaces, 4 existing historical structures have been incorporated into the building. And the oldest of those is a stone embankment from 1751. So all of this is the museum, including this. You can see, so this is the steeple that they were talking about. This is one of the terraces that you can go out and look out on the river. There's a lot of glass windows to look out as well. Okay. And the oldest of the buildings that are incorporated into this is a stone embankment from 1751. Houses from the early period of Quebec City's history, such as La Maison Jacquet, were built with the region's harsh winters in mind. So we talked about those mansard roofs. Their simplicity also reflects the lack of materials and labor that were available to early settlers. Typical houses of the 17th century were rectangular and had two-sided sloping roofs made of cedar shingles. They had few windows and one or two chimneys. So these are some examples of these houses. You can see they're very square. They all have these steep roofs. Some of them you can see the old school shingles on them. They've got a couple chimneys, right? And really they only have windows on like one side. See, we only have windows here, here, and on this side. So you have to think about why this would be important. We talked about why the steep roof would be important. But remember, you only have so many people in this colony because it's the 1700s, right? So there's not a lot of people. There's only the only materials they have are the ones that they either make, like they cut down the trees and make the wood, or that they can ship over from England or France, which would take a really long time. So they kind of had to use what they had. Fêtes et festivals. Les fêtes de la Nouvelle-France. Au mois d'août, les Québécois s'habillent en costume des 17e siècle et 18e siècle et organisent des défilés, des balles et des spectacles pour commémorer les débuts de la colonie. So, les fêtes de la Nouvelle-France, or the New France Festival, holidays. So in the month of August, the Québécois dress up in costumes from the 17th and 18th centuries, which you can see here. We have some pioneers, and we have a fancy lady here, and then more of a typical woman here. So they dress up in these costumes from the 17th and 18th centuries, and they organize parades, balls, and spectacles like shows to commemorate the beginnings of the colony. If you don't know what commemorate means, it's like to remember / celebrate at the same time. So in August, the Québécois dress up in costumes from the 17th and 18th centuries, and they organize parades, balls, and shows to commemorate the beginnings of the colony. So we're going to talk about several different festivals. The way to remember this one is it's the Festival of New France. Well, what is New France? That's what we used to call Canada back in the day during when it was a colony. So the way to remember that this is the one where they dress up is you have to think about it commemorates the colony, and the colony was called New France. Les Grands Feux du Québec, ils ont lieu chaque été au parc de la Chute-Montmorency. Plusieurs pays participent à ce concours de feux d'artifice. So, les Grands Feux du Québec always happens at the parc, or the Montmorency Falls Park in summer. Many different countries participate in this fireworks contest. So, les Grands Feux du Québec, it's a big fireworks contest between many countries, and it happens every summer at the Parc de la Chute-Montmorency, or Montmorency Falls Park. Les festivals d'été de Québec. Il est un événement culturel important. Des artistes internationaux y présentent des spectacles de musique, de danse et d'animation. So, at le Festival d'été de Québec, or the Quebec Summer Festival, this is an important cultural event, and international artists present shows of music, dance, and animation here. So, Festival d'été de Québec, the summer festival, this is where we have international artists that present music, dance, and animation shows. Les Grands Feux du Québec. Every July, countries from around the world enter the fireworks displays competition. To create the fireworks shows, technicians use chemistry to make the fireworks and modern computer technology to set them off. At Les Grands Feux, computers coordinate music and lasers with the fireworks. The fireworks contain 3 types of chemicals: a combustible, which allows the shells to ignite and burn; oxidizing agents, which provide oxygen for the burn; and metal salts, which make the color. When the shells ignite, a chemical reaction occurs and the fireworks explode. Also, every July, francophone, meaning French-speaking, musicians present hundreds of free concerts during the Festival d'été de Québec. They play different types of music ranging from pop and hip-hop to classical and traditional music. Each year, some of them are awarded the Prix International de la Chanson Francophone, so the International Prize of Francophone Song, for their outstanding performances during the festivals or their life's work in Francophone music. So some people are awarded this prize, the Prix International de la Chanson Francophone. So you might be awarded this prize because of your amazing performance during the festival or as a way to celebrate you for your life's work in French-speaking or French language music. Gastronomie. La cuisine traditionnelle, servie dans les restaurants du Vieux-Québec, ressemble à la cuisine française. Elle utilise des produits locaux comme le gibier, les légumes secs et le sirop d'érable. So, traditional cuisine, which is served in restaurants in Old Quebec or Vieux Quebec, resembles French cuisine or French food. It uses local products like wild game, dried vegetables, and maple syrup. So, traditional Quebecois cuisine looks a lot like French cuisine, and they use local products like le gibier, wild game, or just game, dried vegetables, and maple syrup. La poutine. La poutine est un plat populaire québécois. C'est un plat de frites avec du fromage frais et une sauce au jus de viande. So poutine, not poutine, but poutine, like put in, like put it in, poutine, is a very popular Quebecois dish. And it's a dish made of French fries with cheese curds, so not just regular cheese, but cheese curds, and usually gravy that's made from meat, like a meat gravy. It doesn't have meat in it, it's just meat-based gravy. So poutine, it's French fries with cheese curds and like a brown meat-based gravy or meat gravy. It's delicious. It's literally my favorite thing that I ever ate in Quebec. And every time I go to Quebec, whether it's to Montreal or Quebec City, I make sure to eat poutine. When I went to Quebec City a couple years ago, I literally ate poutine every single day in different version of poutine. So I had poutine with sweet potato fries. I had poutine that had like chicken on top. I had poutine that had smoked meat on it. I had regular poutine. Ate poutine at a fast food restaurant. Ate poutine in a fancy restaurant literally every single day. Poutine forever. Les desserts d'érable. Le sirop d'érable est présent partout dans la cuisine québécoise, par exemple dans ses pâtisseries. So, maple desserts. So maple syrup is present throughout Quebecois cuisine. For example, it's used in pastries. So here we have a maple tart. Okay, so they use maple syrup in everything, not just sweet things, also in savory things, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Tradition. Le temps des sucres occurs each spring. So families spend the day at cabane à sucre, or sugar shacks, gathering sap from maple trees. So this is a sugar shack, or a cabane à sucre. And they make dishes such as soupe aux pois, or pea soup. So here we have soupe aux pois, which has maple syrup in it. Omelette dans le sirop, so omelets made with maple syrup or eaten with maple syrup. Et tartelette à l'érable, or maple syrup mini pies. Families then folk dance in the evening. So, l'étang de sucre happens every spring, and families spend the day at sugar shacks, and they gather sap from maple trees. In the sugar shacks is where they make the maple syrup. You might be wondering what's happening here. So this is called la tire d'érable, or maple taffy. And they pour the fresh maple syrup onto the snow. And then they use a stick and they roll the stick in it. And you kind of eat it like it's a snow maple syrup lollipop / snowball thing. Really, really tasty. Very, very, very sweet. So just imagine maple syrup, but more of a taffy texture mixed in with like snowball ice, and eat it. Pretty tasty. Alors, la rue du Trésor. En été, les artistes s'installent dans cette rue pour vendre des peintures et des dessins. So, la rue du Trésor is a really, really tiny, narrow street where in summer, only in the summer, artists set up and in the street and they sell their paintings and their drawings. So la rue des Trésors in summer is where you will find artists selling their paintings and drawings. Kind of like how in Jackson Square, in front of Jackson Square, people sell art in front of Jackson Square. Same thing. La fresque des Québécois. La fresque des Québécois représente des endroits caractéristiques de la ville et aussi des personnages importants de l'histoire du Québec. So la fresque des Québécois, or the Québécois fresco, a fresco is just a wall painting, represents characteristic places in the city as well as important people from Quebec's history. So la fresque des Québécois is a big wall painting that features characteristic places in the town or in the city, as well as important people from Quebec's history. So you can kind of see it here. It's made to look like another part of the city. And you have important people from Quebec's history as well as modern people. And if you're standing far away, this really does look real. So I forget his name. I think this is Samuel de Champlain here. We have Félix Leclerc here, who's a famous songwriter. We have some people making out on the top of this little bridge here. We got a kid from like the 1700s carrying an oar. We have a carriage, right? We have some famous nuns that I'm going to talk about in a second. I think I have another picture of this where it's bigger, then I could show you more things. Okay, la fresque des Québécois. Yeah, here's the bigger version. La fresque des Québécois features portraits of important historical figures. Those that influenced both Canadian and world history include explorer Jacques Cartier. Okay, so this is Jacques Cartier, I think. Or he might be up in the windows here. Or over here. He's in here somewhere. I just don't remember which one. He might be this one. Yeah, this is Jacques Cartier here. I remember now, because you can't really see it, but he's got a little, like, world, like a globe here, and he was an explorer. Samuel de Champlain, founder of Quebec City. Here's Samuel de Champlain. Louis Joliet, who discovered the Mississippi River, for the Europeans. Obviously, the natives already knew it was here, so he discovered it for the Europeans, and I think that's him. It's either this guy or this guy. Other locals include Louis de Buade, Count of Frontenac, so remember the guy who Chateau Frontenac is named for. He also defended Quebec City against the British. Catherine de Longpré, administrator at Quebec's first hospital. I don't know where she is. She might be here. This might be her. Félix Leclerc, father of Québécois song, so that's him here. Oops. Okay. So like I was saying, from far away, this looks pretty real. And depending on where you're standing, it really does look like these buildings are just normal buildings. And you have the rest of the town in the background. We have some famous nuns here. I forget what they did. Something to do with the hospital, I think. I'm pretty sure. But don't take my word for it. So all these windows are fake. None of these windows are real. So pretty cool.